Hi guys and girls, I'm Obsidian Ant and welcome back to Elite Dangerous. As you can see, I was recently over on the Elite subreddit and I come across this rather interesting thread about satellites. It reminded me of their existence around inhabited worlds, so I thought it would be rather interesting to go and check them out. Now naturally, there are many inhabited worlds within the bubble, giving us hopefully a lot of opportunities to find what we're looking for. At the start of this video, you saw I was in the system Mukoji, and that had a planet that was in the process of being terraformed, so unlikely that would be inhabited, unlikely perhaps it would have any satellites. At this point I don't remember exactly how close I need to get to a planet in order to find satellites, so I've come here as close as I possibly can within the 6,000 megameter to 12,000 megameter range, and I'm waiting for signal sources to spawn. Now as far as I understand, the type that we need are encoded emissions. Unfortunately, I didn't find anything at the previous planet, so decided to head to a well-known populated planet, Azaban, in the Erinin system. Well known, of course, because this was one of the earliest systems in the Elite Dangerous game. It was available back during the original premium beta access. Atmospheric planets continue to be places of beauty when witnessed from space. Getting down on their surfaces, probably a long way away, but something I've said many times before, I'm really looking forward to. What perhaps shouldn't have been surprising to me, that located around all these planets is a whole multitude of unidentified signal sources. Now they don't spawn all that often, but they do spawn in a variety of types. And before long I came across my first around the Erinin system here. And amazingly and unexpectedly, it was exactly the signal source I was looking for. Encoded emissions detected. Was it going to have a satellite though? Unfortunately not. It had a whole scattering of various materials, but no sign of any satellite. But I did hang around just to make sure, checking my contacts tab, and then double checking on navigation just to ensure that nothing there was showing up. So RNG strikes again, giving me the much needed encoded emissions signal source, but leaving it completely devoid of what I was actually searching for. Now it has long been my hope that eventually Frontier will implement into the game tools needed for discovery. Now by this I mean tools much more complex than what we currently have. As we fly around, signal sources spawn at random, and although their chances of spawning can be determined largely by your actual location, you can't really determine exactly what signal source you're going to get. Now what I'd like to see are some tools put within the game that would allow us to zero in and narrow down the type of signal sources we're actually looking for. That could become some much needed additional gameplay. The locations around the orbit of these planets are absolutely stunning. And when you come across other ships and other debris and various things floating around near them, it really does create some rather wonderful environments. And it's fortunate that we can get so close to these planets and discover various activities going on around them. And maybe in the future we'll be able to interact with all these things in much deeper and more complex ways. The next signal source was yet again to be one containing various ships, and although I'd sworn to avoid ones containing weapons of fire, being somewhat limited in my asphere, I decided ultimately to drop into this one just to see what was going on. And you can see some debris there from something that has been destroyed and what appear to be some pirates orbiting that. Now at this point I was wondering whether they were going to turn their weapons on me, and although they did do a ship scan, they decided I wasn't worth their while and then flew off in a rather spectacular fashion, giving some quite nice scenery. Just look at how this unfolds. And personally, I find that flybys like this, that little scenarios like this, play out ever so gracefully against these beautiful backdrops. And in turn, they really do help to bring the galaxy alive. So it seemed that Azaban was going to be a dead end, or perhaps it was simply that I didn't spend enough time there. But at any rate, I decided to fly off to Chango here in Ibutis, and as you can see, this planet is definitely very much inhabited. Hopefully then, the chances of finding a satellite here were going to be that much higher. It's actually been quite a long time since I've done flybys of atmospheric and populated worlds like these, and you can really see the improvement in graphics that have been brought with the recent patches in the game. Now you may have heard the recent news only just announced that the 2.2 beta is going to drop on the 22nd of September next week. Very excited by that. It's going to bring with it a lot of nice changes, including ship-launched fighters and passenger missions. I'm also hoping, though, that, as with previous patches, there will be a whole bunch of unannounced graphical improvements that are included with it. At this point, I was realising that finding a satellite was going to be a lost cause. I spent a whole bunch of hours the previous evening trying to find one, and probably around about an hour or so this morning, and unfortunately wasn't able to find anything. So if any of you watching this are able to offer some suggestions on how I can go about finding these, then do please let me know in the comments, and I'll be sure to film them in a future video. For now though, it was time to visit a very special location. Jaques Station, 22,000 light years away from humanity's home, situated in a region of space now officially known as Colonia. Over the previous months, many hundreds of commanders have come together, representing independent pilots, as well as multiple groups from all factions and all powers, from the Federation, from the Alliance, and from the Empire. Casting aside all differences, out here they've created something new, the start of a new colony, the first steps towards a second home for humanity. The successful completion of a recent community goal enabled the establishment of this planetary outpost, Colonia Hub. To celebrate this achievement, the Colonia Citizens Network will be holding a celebration on Sunday the 18th of September at 5 PM game time. To find out more information on this, check out the link in the video description. As moving out into Colonia Space becomes an ever-increasing and more popular activity, we're going to find many hundreds and perhaps even many of thousands of players coming to reside out here, and that will cause the expansion of this area of space to accelerate with new stations, new outposts and new planetary bases. For the first time since the game's launch, there is now an inhabited area of space surrounded by thousands of undiscovered stars, a paradise then for explorers. And as history has shown, with new territory comes a multitude of new opportunities. Opportunities for the citizens of Colonia to continue working as they have already worked, expanding the colony out here, but new opportunities also for existing powers and player factions, and as they move out here, who knows what interesting developments will occur. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys and girls next time.